Is anybody out there? Hello? Hello, hello, hello? Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Carter. I have an MEd in Curriculum Design and Pedagogy and close to 30 years of global education leadership and experience. I have worked in probably 8 to 10 different countries. I have taught students from over 20 countries. I have created a whole series of curriculum for all ages, from very small up to graduate school, and have also created curriculum for many different countries and many different ages. So today we are talking a little bit about why collaboration is essential during the new normal as such. So I'm going to break this into 3 areas. This is just a little strange because I'm usually used to interacting with people, so I'm not sure if anyone is actually watching this or if we are videoing or what the deal is. One moment. Okay. So I'm going to break this into 3 different areas. The first one is a little more philosophical as such. We're just talking a little bit about learning. And then I'm I'm going to look at teachers and sort of break teachers down into some different groups based on the situation that we're in now. And then I'm going to get into some collaboration, ways to collaborate, or tools we can use to collaborate. If anybody is out there and has questions along the way, please pop them into the comments section. Okay, so let's jump into this. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Let me set this up first. So that is that. I see what this is doing. This is doing the whole screen, not letting that jump in front. Okay, cancel that for a second. One moment while I just play around with this a little bit. This is a little different than Zoom, so I'm trying to get this so that it works properly. Maybe I'll move that there. One moment, please. Some technical difficulties. Okay, why can't I? There we go. I think that's, now we're getting somewhere. Okay. So first of all, let's talk really quickly about learning. And I am going to draw a distinction between learning and education. For many years, I thought they were like two sides of the same coin, but over the years, I've come to realize they are two very different entities. So learning is truly what we call a change in the neuron patterns of the brain. So learning takes place when we actually have something that goes on inside the brain. The difference between education and learning is all kinds of education is being pushed on us in a classroom setting, but not a whole lot of it is actually getting inside to the brain and changing as such in the strong neurons within. So connections form in the brain, and the stronger the connection, it's like a deep groove, almost like a river. So the more that we can connect concepts from one thing to the other, the deeper the groove is. And so think about how we learn and how our students learn as like a closet. Okay, so we are getting stuff in. That's what we get during our formal education. We encode it a bit. We store it somewhere in the brain, and then when we want it, we have to go and find it. Now, so it's not like we have a math closet and a science closet. We might have a math shelf and a science drawer, but it's all in the same closet. Okay. Now, and here's where the reason I'm talking about this is I want to talk a lot about sort of memorization, or a little bit about why memorization is not very helpful. Because we don't really put it into the closet. We just put it on a shelf, and there's only so much room on the shelf. So we want to try and get away from the concept of memorization. And this is what we're really going to talk a little bit about today. It's the difference between information and knowledge. And so what happens in the classroom quite a bit is just information. It is coming at us, the teacher is talking, or I'm reading from books. There's all kinds of different things that are going on in terms of just basic information. But it's when we're able to let it get inside and we connect it to other parts or other things that we know, that we turn it into knowledge. And this is really what I want us to sort of focus on today, is how can we work together as teachers and educators and supporters of teachers to turn the information into the knowledge so it becomes useful for students to use. So that now brings me to the next part. I'll turn this off right now. And let me open up the other part. So think about that. How does a simple concept that you've talked about in, say, math or in science or in languages that you are getting across in class, and how is that turning into knowledge? Chances are it is connecting to other pieces of information, and not just from that class, but from many other different classes, and a lot of information that we get in and knowledge that we learn outside of the classroom. Now, if I was to take a poll of anybody who is watching, or of every teacher in the world, and ask them where have they gained most of their knowledge from, what we would probably realize is that most of us have learned a lot of our life information outside of the formal classroom setting. Now, we realize we do that as adults, but we also do it a lot as kids. Think back to your time in elementary school. How much of your time, even during the school day, did you think about non-school things or do non-school things during recess, breaks, lunch, before school, after school, PE class, social times, drama, dance, all the different things we do in a school day, even in the classroom, but are not really formal education related. All of those connect with what we are doing and how we are learning and making those deep grooves. Okay, so let's now talk a little bit about the situation we're in. I'm sorry. Let's talk a little bit about the situation we are in this COVID-19 period. And right now we're in a really strange period. Some people are saying we are post-COVID, which we're not, because we won't be post-COVID until we actually have a vaccine and we can do mass testing. So we're not post-COVID. Some people say we are in post-lockdown. Well, we are noticing, or we're witnessing right now in the United States, where a lot of people thought we were post-COVID or post-lockdown, but we're not. The U.S. unfortunately is breaking. I'm Canadian, by the way. The U.S. is breaking daily records for new cases. I think yesterday hit 75,000 new cases in one day, just in the U.S. alone. And they've reached the 4 million positive mark. So a lot of countries who thought they had, what they say, flattened the curve and could open up their country have not. The only, I think, true country that has truly flattened the curve and gotten through all this now is New Zealand. Yes, a very small country, small population, but they seem to have, and sort of isolated because it is an island, but have had the ability to truly flatten the curve and have been, as an entire country, COVID-free for quite a while. And now I think they are completely opened up. Now, I doubt their borders are open, so that's how they're staying that way. But so now we're in this continued lockdown. Some situations around the world have are about to start schools. I'm in Thailand, and so when COVID hit here, the school year was just about finished. So we were able to get our exams done and sort of close out and then lock down for a number of months. But school was supposed to start May 1st. It didn't. We're now July 1st, and school has sort of started. A lot of schools are back. There doesn't seem to be a second wave hit already. The school I'm at, which is actually a vocational college, Last year I was a public elementary school. This year I'm at a vocational college, and it's a residential college. So we have 500 students from all over Thailand living on campus. In the last week, there's been a lot of, I'll just say, sickness, cold, flu. There doesn't seem to be anybody who has tested positive for COVID yet. We've had some dengue fever and a few other things because of the heat here. But it's I think a lot of people are waiting to see what's going to happen. Of course, massive countries, China's open, but they had some problems. Korea opened, they had some problems. France opened a month ago, they had some problems with the second wave. So we're going to see where we're at. What that means is thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of teachers worldwide have had to start doing online courses. And so that's really what I want to focus a lot of what we're talking about today is online courses and how we need to work together to help us maintain a certain quality of education and learning for our students during this forced online content delivery time. So I want to take a little bit now and look at some students or a situation with teachers. Okay, now we're ready. Share the screen. Application window. There we go. And share. Bingo. So here we are. So I want to group teachers into 3 groups. And I'm doing this with teachers, but basically we can do this with anyone in the world and everyone in the world. So we're going to talk about the green, the yellow, and the red. And what do I mean by some of this? Well, the green are those who are what we call early adopters. They're very tech savvy. When there's new technology, it comes along, we jump onto it, we try it, we learn from it, we make mistakes with it. But it's a great process that we go through, and we learn a lot of new things about new technologies, and we're usually at the forefront. Now, quite often, in today's generation is the younger generation. So we look at a group of early teachers, say between 20 and 30. They usually are a lot more with it in terms of technology. There are a few of us who are a little older, who are also early adopters, who jump onto the bandwagon and try new things to get it happening. But it's a fairly small group. Now, our next group are going to go to the far side here, the red group. This is probably the boomers, and basically I'm sort of at the end of the boomers. So anybody who was born in 1950 and is still actively working as a teacher pretty much fits this market. Now, a lot of these people are very old school. I am in a lot of ways, even though I'm a big technology fan. But a lot of my colleagues are not. And they're a little slow to try new technologies. And they're almost afraid of certain technologies. We've all had TV shows and sitcoms where the older generation in the show is made to look like a fool because they don't know how to operate things. It started with VCRs a couple of decades ago. Now it's mobile phones or how to set stuff on Facebook, etc. But the largest group we have is the one in the middle. And these would be people who are open-minded and can become quite tech savvy with a certain amount of training. So think about these 3 groups for a second and think about which one are you in, and think about the rest of your colleagues at your school or even in your department. If you're in a larger school or a school district in terms of your math department, your English department, French department, whatever the local language is department, science, PE. So think about your whole school and then think about your department and what percentage of people fit where. And here's why we're going to do this and talk about it. The early group here, the early adopters. So what's going to happen here is you can see along the bottom, there's the 2 rows. And on the top row in the blue background and the white letters is going to be how much content help. And now we're going to talk about the collaboration. How much content help or support this group of teachers need. And the bottom, which is the black on the light gray, is how much tech support help they need. So you can see the early adopters, usually the younger generation, need help with the content because they're new to it. There may be new teachers. They don't need any help with the technology. As a matter of fact, they might be a technology whiz, but they might need some help with the content because they're new to teaching. Our middle group has a lot of content, but they're still new. Maybe they're learning new subjects. Maybe they're adding new grades. So if I was an elementary math teacher and I've been teaching 1, 2, and 3, maybe now I'm teaching grade 4, 5, and 6. So it's some new content that I'm getting. So they need a certain amount of help with the content and a certain amount of help with the technology. Not a lot, but a certain amount of help. And then we have our group at the end, and we're going to divide it into two, an A and a B. So at the end, we have our old school A group. This group is really where we might be a little stuck with because they are long-term teachers, but maybe they weren't the greatest teachers to begin with. And they really are old school, and they don't want a whole lot to do with new technology. Every school has some of these. I'm not sure what we can do with them. I'm not going to talk a lot about them. You'll have to figure that out. However, this is what I want to talk about is this group, the old school B. These are people who are amazing teachers. They have lots of wisdom about content, lots of wisdom about teaching. They know their subject matter. They're amazing teachers, but they're not very good with the technology. So look at this spread, right? We have the high tech, need a lot of help, fresh teachers on the one end. On the other end, we have really great, old, wise teachers who need a lot of help with the technology, and then a group in the middle who needs some help with both. Sorry, a little green tea with juice to keep me going here. So what do I mean by this, and how does this help us in terms of collaboration? Well, I want to talk about who should maybe be collaborating with who, and then we'll talk about how to collaborate. So what I'm going to suggest here is a couple of things. And I'm going to, first of all, say, why can't we take the group that is really new and young, but great technology, and the group that is really wise, but not great technology, and put them together to start doing a lot of things. And there's another group we're going to throw into here, and that you'll see in the bottom here in the red is called TA, or teaching assistant. And what I mean by that is, it's not just teachers who are stuck, but it is universities. If you are an education student at a university and you're supposed to be doing your practicum this year or coming up at a school that is either not open or that is having issues, or your university is saying, no, you can't go, how are you going to be able to do your practicum in order to get your teaching degree? So think about this. Why can't we put young, really tech smart education students with the really wise, but not tech smart, wise teachers, put them together and have them help each other? Because first of all, you would have the young teacher learning amazing techniques and amazing knowledge that probably isn't written down anywhere. From firsthand, from someone who's got just great experience in the classroom and is brilliant with the subject matter. With someone young who can help them with the technology, can maybe transfer the content over, because what we're talking about here is not just somebody going on Zoom and talking for an hour, because that's not online. That's just like a a MOOC or a talking head. We're trying to set up actual really good interactive programs. So if we take someone who knows the different LMS, the different sort of programs that can be done to make education, online education, interesting, and add the great, wise, old teacher mindset or understanding of the content together, that's one group. Another thing we should be doing with this young group is prototyping some new kinds of ideas, or some of the course ideas that we have. Let them do it and put together a template of what the course should look like, so that the middle group, the larger group in terms of numbers of our teachers, so that the middle group can actually work on it on those templates, and can add in all of their content, and can basically go along and maybe get a little help from school or district tech support. Because that's one of the biggest things that's been missing through all this, is people have been put online without a whole lot of help or support. And teachers have done an amazing job because they've had to try and learn to do all this at the same time, but it's just a lot of cases not working, or they don't know if students are engaged. They don't know if students, if they log in, say on a Zoom, and then they turn the camera off, is the student there or not? So there's all kinds of little tips and tricks you can do. But if you get the green group to prototype a lot of different things, and then the others can copy, and then you get the red group, the old school B group, with some either young green teachers or some young education student teachers, to help them get their content online and to try some new things. That way, we've got the best of all three worlds here, who are able to get online and feel successful in communicating their content with their teachers. Okay, so this is the reason why we need to do some collaboration. Now I'm going to jump over and talk about how we can collaborate. And if anybody is out there and has questions at this point, then please chime them into the comments or the chat, so I can answer it. In the meantime, I'm going to rearrange my other PowerPoints here. And so I guess before I jump into my third PowerPoint, let me talk a little bit about why we are doing this, or why we're needing to think about this, not just for what's happening now, because the new normal might not just be a few months. The new normal might be a couple of years or even beyond. I recently did a YouTube video that was entitled, "What If School Could Not Reopen Until September 2021?" So that's a year and a half, a year and a bit from now. And then, so what would happen if we had to do an entire school year outside of the classroom? And a lot of people thought I was nuts a few months ago when I put this up. But here we are in July of 2020, and there's a lot of paranoia about schools opening. So why am I saying this? Well, I'm not going to go through this a lot, but there is a graphic I'm going to bring up here quick that is basically going to show it. So this is a screenshot from one of my videos. On the far left-hand side here, I'm not going to go through it all, but basically this first on the far left is a history of education technology. On the right part here is the history of education. And it's sort of sad to say that if you look at here, the concept of education that we do right now, formal education, is really based on ideas from 200 years ago. Technology has changed a lot, but our basic pedagogy has not. Now, the part in the middle here is rather interesting because this is how the workforce has changed. The blue is basically agriculture. The red is industry. And here we are in the last 20 years or since the internet, the yellow is the new digital economy. And we see that our workforce has changed quite a bit and our technology has changed quite a bit, but our basic pedagogy is not. This is why a lot of us are in the problem we're in here during this time of the COVID lockdown. Now, the other side, way over here on the right-hand side, is the scary part. So we see that, for 1,300 years, we had 3 major pandemics. But in the last 500 years, in the last 100 years, we have had 5. So if you see here, the Spanish flu, the last time we had, the first of the 5 is 100 years ago. What this means is pandemics are becoming more frequent and the time between them is getting shorter. So COVID-19 is here now. Even if we had a vaccine by the end of 2020 and we could start vaccinating people through 2021 to get over it, the chances are that we're going to have some other kind of major pandemic in the next few years are very likely. So when we're talking about a new normal, it is not just a COVID new normal, it is a new normal period. So this is why we need to really start working through some of this stuff together. Okay, so what am I babbling about, Jeff? Let's quickly go to, where are we here? So this is a little bit of a different, sorry, one moment. More technical difficulties. There we go. Okay, so how are we going to share some of this stuff together? Okay, so that is the thing that we just talked about. That is the workforce development. Now you can see it better. So the agriculture from 1,000 years ago, and then so this is in developed countries, okay, the Western countries. The red is the factories post World War I. And then into World War II, and the yellow is the new, what we call the gig economy from what's been going on. So I'm going to pop out of that, and I'm going to move ahead here, and then we have our pandemic stuff that we just looked at. Okay, so I'm going to quickly scroll down because you don't need to see all of this stuff. What I want to talk about is something called just-in-time education, or 21st century education. Just-in-time content. I'm going to go through this fast, but then there's one piece that we will go to, and this is the crux of what I'm talking about. So just-in-time content is about performance excellence and what we're going to call an agile ADDIE. ADDIE is a way of developing curriculum that a lot of people say is actually outdated because it's been around for a long time. The old way of doing it is the concept of agile ADDIE is to quickly keep changing it and making it easier to use. And we'll talk about that very quickly here. And so then obviously we get into leadership and then into the value add. And this is what education in the 21st century, when we talk about the pedagogy from 200 years ago, this is what we should be moving towards now. So I'm going to jump out of that. And then I'm going to go down to here. and walk you through this. So what is this idea of an agile Addy? Well, the first part is we need to assess our learners, and a lot of that's already been going on. I don't mean testing. I mean, we need to assess, so what are the learner needs? What is the evidence that is required? And then what are our delivery options? So now we start talking about, in the digital domain, what kinds of things do we need to get out to help students get the content that they need? Design, collaboration, what assets and resources do we need, and about storyboarding. Now, I'm going to pop out of here for a second, and I'm going to go back to a little bit earlier here. What am I talking about when I say collaboration? Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at a grade 5 class, math class, and specifically about fractions. And I'm going to break it down into your basic concepts of add, subtract, multiply, divide, mixed operations, and simplifying. Now, we all know, if you've taught math or if you taught any subject, we sort of break it down, and these are the things we need to do. Think back to our 3 groups of teachers for a second here, and even the bigger group of that. So in a large school, you might have 4 or 5 math teachers. In a really large school or a district, you'll have tens, maybe hundreds of math teachers. Now, if we're supposed to have the same kind of online content of math for our school, for our district or region, then why do we have hundreds or thousands of math teachers all trying to do the same program by themselves? We do that in the classroom, but for online, why do we have each teacher trying to make their own class? Why can't we break it down by, if I'm an expert in grade 5 fractions and somebody else is an expert in grade 5 decimals and somebody else is an expert in grade 5 geometry and somebody else is an expert in grade 5 other elements, and you break it down by math, then why can't I just be assigned, okay, Jeff, you're the fractions guy, we need 10 lessons about different things that have to fit into this time frame. So instead of me having to come up with an entire grade 5 math class year to put online and run around and try and find everything, if students have books or don't have books, it can be a bit of a mess. So instead of me trying to do everything myself, why don't I just focus on fractions, put it into some sort of curation or archive process, and not just one thing, but let's say for addition. So if there's a book, great. If not, here's a bunch of worksheets I can do. Here's some PowerPoints I can do. And then here's some different videos, a YouTube video, a Khan Academy video, maybe my own little video. And I put all of these into some sort of archive, whether it is Google Drive, whether it is YouTube, whether it is Dropbox, whether it is an LMS system that the district is using or an internal system that the school is using. I put all of this there for fractions so that when I want to, when any grade 5 math teacher then, anywhere in my school in the district needs to teach fractions, they can either go and get the pieces that they need, or I can do some set lessons and they can just use that lesson and move it into their grade 5 math class. This is one massive way that we can be collaborating and helping each other instead of every teacher having to do everything themselves. And now think about our 3 groups of teachers. So for the green group who are tech savvy but need help with getting the content, this is amazing, because then they can set up their course. Let's say even if it's something basic like a Google Classroom, they can get in, set it up, and they can go and pull out all of these resources really quickly so that they can drop it into whatever system they're going to use, but they haven't had to go and search it and research it themselves, but they can trust this source because it's coming from another school teacher or someone or in the district. And so that allows this teacher to quickly populate their lessons with excellent material, even though they are not an expert teacher yet. Now, the other side of this, if we go to our old school B group, where we have the really smart, wise old teacher with a young education student who's tech savvy, he can help populate all kinds of information and resources, or even write it as the teacher dictates it for other teachers to grab and use. So we have the old school teacher being an amazing resource with the help of a young TA to get that information into whatever curation system that we're going to have. Now, the middle group, that big group, the yellow group, is the one who benefits really the most from this, because again, they have the smarts. They can go and pick stuff, or maybe maybe somebody else, though they're not a fractions expert, might come in and have one activity they really like. So they might take some of my worksheets from the multiplication, but then do their own PowerPoint or add in their own video that they know is really good for them to do, which is fine. So, but it allows them to quickly pull stuff. And if the green teachers, the early adopters, have already said, hey, this is a great process to use, whether Google Classroom, or this is the way LMS, or here's a template of how you set up your lessons, then that teacher, the yellow group, the big group, can take whatever resources they want, pop it into a template, and away they go. And so this is how we need to start moving forward. Instead of every teacher doing every lesson themselves, like we have had to do in the classroom, we don't need to do that online. And this is the biggest shift that we need to make. What this also means is school districts can start bringing in experts part-time for a specific or a really hard subject to put all kinds of information into whatever the curation process is, so that the line teachers can grab it and use it when they want. In other words, it's no longer about a textbook, but it's about a whole curation of content that is needed for every subject. Now, here it is for an elementary subject. Oops, no, we don't want that. I'm now going to grab it here and pop this up. And so this is like a philosophy 101. Oh, this is a philosophy 101 course. So obviously now we're talking about university. Can this work at a university? Most definitely. So if we're talking about 5 major philosophers, Plato, Nietzsche, Marx, Kant, and Dewey, it's the same sort of thing. So we might first be talking about books that they have written. So we might look at some of their books. Secondly, then we might be looking at books written about them from other authors. And now whether that's a book or whether that's a PDF, whether that is, oops, sorry, my mouse keeps moving things around here. There we go, we're moving the wrong way. Not use the mouse. So the third column here is PowerPoints or quotes or different things that we want to do. And again, we can go online and find all kinds of YouTubes. We can use our own videos. We can use videos that have come with textbooks. So there's all kinds of ways that we can begin to populate different courses, right? So the other one was math, very specific. This is now an entire course. when the university or the higher ed body determines what information is needed. Now, again, this is just the content part. You can do the same thing with tests, with assessments, with assignments, and basically every student in a district can be doing the best assignments, because you can have someone at, say, the district level where teachers are submitting, here's my assignments, and they can choose the 10 best and ask teachers to choose 5 of those 10 best, as opposed to 5 of 10,000 different kinds of assignments, right? So you can have the best content, the best assessments, the best tests that are being then put out by or to all of the different teachers. So the idea here is collaboration in terms of content, not to do it all ourselves, an entire course by ourselves for online. That is a huge amount of work. How do I know that? Well, because I've done that. I actually, a number of years ago, created an entire first-year university transfer program for Kaplan in Singapore. It was 8 courses, each of 16 weeks, each of a certain amount of hours per week, each with its own textbook and series of assignments and everything else. Now, that part of that contract was face-to-face. Do the math, right? 8 times 16 times, I think it was 3 hours a week. You get the idea. But I also had to take each of those 8 courses and turn it and flip it to online, self-study, which means it was a complete rewrite. And this is the other part now to talk about, is you can't just take the information from the classroom and throw it online and hope it works. It won't. You have to change things quite a bit for being online. So we call it migrating to the digital landscape, or migrating to online. And so part of the reason why a lot of teachers have been having real trouble is they've been having, if they don't have textbooks or they have to start from scratch, they're having to find all of this information for online. This is why the curation concept is a great idea and a great way to do this, because we can, you can't see my screen share. Why? It is, oh, it came down again. Sorry about that. There we go. So here's the philosophy one. Sorry about that if the screen share messed up. So again, like I say, the textbooks from the philosopher, the textbooks about the philosopher, the PowerPoints, etc., and then the videos. So how is this helpful? Like I was saying, so if we were to have a content curation piece, and then we have templates on how to populate it into lessons, and we have someone's storyboard, which you should online storyboard everything, storyboard a lesson, then this is the best way to know what content you're going to grab and pop it into the different templates so that you can do your lesson. So to me, this is the new 21st century. And so if we now go back to that, I click here, oh, that's why it automatically shuts it down. Now I get it. Sorry about that. So if we automatically now go back to this part here, okay, and I'll open up the screen share again, and I'll do this, do this, do this, do this. Sorry about that mess up. So that's the Agile Addy part that I was just talking about. How do we make this curation so it's easy to grab? So the third part of this, no, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Okay, 32. Here we go. Okay, there we are. Sorry. too many different buttons to push here. Okay. So the design, the collaboration part that I was talking about, we get the assets, we get the resources, and we storyboard. I will put some links into the chat here shortly of some of my videos. They're short videos about how to migrate. I recently did one about why you need to storyboard. So the third part of this is the develop. So we assess what needs are needed. We talk about the design, the collaboration, and then we go to the develop. How do we then make this course and get it ready? We curate the assets. We have our migration plan, and then we prototype. In other words, if you haven't ever done an online class, you need to do one so that you know what your students can experience. You actually need to try it. And if you can try your class, have some other colleagues try some of your classes, online classes, so you get some feedback, this is the best way to do it. The implement. So we put it out. What system are you going to put it out on? Is it YouTube? Is it Zoom? Zoom is on an LMS. Zoom is just a communication medium. You still need some way with which to get the information out for students to do their assessments on and or to send you assignments. That also means from a school or certainly a school district level, you need some tech support. And the last part of this process is the evaluate. And we're going to evaluate everything and everyone. And that then goes back around to the next assessment plan. And so this just keeps working around the circle. And this is why we can quickly change and add things. So think about this. If something's not working, if a video physically is not working, maybe it's come down from YouTube. And so people go, oh, the YouTube video is gone. What are we going to do? Well, you've got like 20 other videos in your curation. Somebody quickly goes in, gets the new link, goes into the template, puts it in, problem solved. Okay, instead of 10,000 teachers having to go and find another video, something. So this is why we need to really look at this idea of curation and bring it all together so that people can collaborate. Okay, so that basically is my piece for the day. I expected to have some discussion back and forth from people. So if there is, Lola, any specific topic or question I did not address that you wanted me to address, can you somehow put it into the comments? If anybody else is out there and has any of this stuff, a question they have, can they please put it in? So these are here are sorry. There we go. These are some of the videos, the larger ones. This is a great one for, these are all my YouTube channel. This is a great one for understanding how you should approach this in terms of philosophy of learning. This was a series of videos I put together at the beginning of COVID when all this was going crazy, and everything you need to know about digital learning that no one bothered to tell you. And this has a lot of the short content creation ones that I was recently talking about. And then what I am looking for is the one I just did. Where did I put that? Anyway, so, well, if you go in there, you'll be able to, okay, so here is the one I just did. that talks about why you should storyboard all of your lessons, especially if it's quite complex or you're using a lot of different materials. Now that is more of if you're creating videos, but even still, your lessons, because it'll show you how I did it for a lot of different purposes as such. So if there is no questions, I'll call it a day. And I will thank those who have tuned in. I hope you found something useful here. Now, I know if there are people in West Africa who are watching this, I know there are some issues with technology and infrastructure and data costs. I get that. So maybe there is one last thing I will share with you. That is a project I am working on that might be a way to do it. And so this is, I'm going to share with you the idea of an ebook. So within certain software, I did this actually in what's called Adobe InDesign. And this is a series of videos that I'm about to put out. I'm going to film actually this upcoming weekend. But an ebook operates exactly like a web page, but in this particular book, everything has been embedded. So in other words, once you have the ebook on the computer or your tablet or pretty much every mobile device, even the simple Android devices have ebook readers. Once it is downloaded, yes, so it needs to download, but if data is an issue, you can have schools as a hub, so the school can download it. Students can come in or come to a central place to get it put onto their phone, transferred onto their phone without download. So it's a way to get an entire course or part of a course, digital course, onto mobile devices that does not need any connection, or certainly consistent connection. And in some respects, teachers can then, even over the phone, call into a group call and say, okay, turn to page this or go to this, and we're going to talk about it today. So what do I mean by this? So about discovery learning, obviously I've got a world map. You can see where the flags are. So let's say this is grade 6 or 7, 8, a middle school social studies class. Okay, and we're gonna, so I would, let's say, okay, I want you, let's say the assignment is, I want you to compare the environmental issues on west coast of Canada, America, and Mexico. Okay, fine. So I'm going to click on the Canada map. It's going to take me to Canada, pick a province. Well, there's only one that's going to work in this case. But I have done all of this. Now, it's done in InDesign. It's a huge learning curve, but man, once you get it, it is sweet. And again, if you had one or two experts, or even a handful of experts who are really great with Photoshop, or really great with Premiere Pro, or really great with InDesign, different Adobe products, or really great with Captivate or Articulate, which are online learning SCORM products, then they're, again, generating that for the entire district, right? So you click on this, it goes to the province. Sorry, it's a little slow getting going here. Boy, this is really slow loading. I guess it's because we're working through 3 or 4 different things. So these are coming up. This is the navigation on below here. And this should be, oh, maybe that's a link. Sorry, I didn't embed it. Okay, so, oh, there we go. So this I should be able to play right within.
Can I talk? Hello, Jeff.
Hello.
Hi. So there were a few, thank you for all that you've done. Thank you.
Okay.
A few questions came up. Can you see the comment section?
Okay.
There was a question there was a question that says, someone said, what's her name again? Let me look at the question quickly.
What's a what?
There was a question for you.
I can't see it anywhere.
I'll get it. I saw it initially, and she also said she had the question, and it wasn't
Okay.
answered. Um, you may keep speaking. Once I get it, I'll call your attention. I saw the question a while ago.
Anyway, while they're looking for that, there is a way to load your entire class or part of a class into an ebook, digital ebook format that operates just like a web page, but you don't need the connection to any format or data or portal or data. It plays itself within the ebook. So that's one way to get around massive data charges, but still have a really interactive experience for students. Okay, so did we find the question?
Yes, someone said you mentioned the curriculum earlier. Please, can we get the name?
Which curriculum? I mentioned a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, while you were speaking, your screen wasn't sharing, but I think it was the screen that showed last about is it ADDIE something?
Okay, yes, ADDIE. So
Yeah.
ADDIE is a process for designing. It is not a piece of curriculum. ADDIE, if you do any higher or graduate studies in education, curriculum design, you will come across it. Like I said, many people are saying it is a little outdated. And the original version is because it takes a long time to process, usually because schools and school districts take a long time to approve content. And that's the funny part here, because what used to take months to get approval, now teachers have been thrown at it and say, just do it. So we have this unbalance of what it used to be and what is the new normal. So ADDIE is ADDIE, which stands for, here, I'll bring this part up again. Come on, screen share. So here you can see the ADDIE, what it means is, so is that on the screen? Can you see that? There we go. Okay, why doesn't it automatically? Okay, I'm not sure why it doesn't automatically do that. Anyway, okay. So this is the part I was talking about. So ADDIE is what ADDIE stands for: assess, design, develop, implement, and evaluation. So it's a curriculum design process. It is not an actual curriculum, but it's a design process that you can use in order to help develop your own curriculum, or in this case, I'm saying that you can, as a group, develop your collaboration curriculum or collaborate on developing the curriculum. Again, there are some links in the chat there that one of my recent videos was about how to do this, one of the YouTube videos, and it takes you through in detail, and it shows you from the slides that I showed earlier in math and philosophy how to actually do this and make it into a curriculum. So you can check my YouTube channel to see how to actually do this.
Thanks so much, Jeff. So some of the resources you shared were sent to me privately. I think you can directly just put it in the comments section.
Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay,
yeah,
okay. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay, sorry. Oh, silly me. Okay, well, geez, I wish I'd seen that sooner. Hello, everybody. Yes. Hello. Sorry.
Yeah,
Gee, here I thought it was all alone, and all these real people are out there. Okay.
Excellent.
You really was. Yeah, thank you very much. How can we collaborate? Well, I went through that and talked a little bit about that. Okay, so how do I, where do I put in a comment though? I can't, I have no place to comment. There's no place for me to input. In the private chat there was, but okay. How do I comment? Lola, how do I comment?
Hold on, let me try and figure that out. Otherwise, I'll just copy it and place in the
Please,
comments.
if you can, and put it over, yeah, because I can't see actually where I can put on the general
Okay,
comment.
I'll figure it out.
Okay, so
Lola,
thank you. Lola will put some of the links from my YouTube channel there. Please feel free to share them with your friends and colleagues. Obviously, I want you to subscribe, but please feel free to share them with your friends and colleagues. If you know of education schools or programs that are teaching young teachers, some of this stuff is vital for them now. So share these resources with them as well. And yeah, this is, you know, people are scared and worried. However, this is an exciting time, or should be seen as an exciting time, because we can actually make some major changes to how or what we think formal education is. You know, basically I had a discussion earlier with someone on today in India about how in the US the high school graduating class lost the last 3 months of their year. So that's an entire generation of students who have an incomplete degree or an incomplete high school diploma, but yet they're still going to get their diploma. So all our talk of what our standards, and we can't have lower standards or higher standards, is really a lot of BS. So we're at a point where we can work together to try and change a lot of things. And this is one of the ways we can do it. If we work together to curate stuff, then we can get the best from everybody, put it all together, and then have the technology people put the best parts in so students can get it. Or you can send it out through email to people who are here, some of the links, however you want to do that.
okay. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
So any other questions? Any other?
I'll take time to copy it all out and share it in the Telegram group for everyone, because it's proving a little bit difficult right now.
I'm just looking through and becoming more frequent. Yes, we can. Okay. Yes. Okay. Sorry about the screen share thing. First time I've used this particular software. Yes. Old school group have enough knowledge spirits, but needs help with tech. Yes. Okay. Well, then I think that does it for today. Lola, are you there? Okay, so if nobody else has any questions, I think we're done.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, Jeff.
Yep. So are we finished? I think we're finished. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining today. I greatly appreciate it. You can go to my YouTube channel, and if you have specific questions, you can put some comments in the YouTube comments, and I can respond to them that way.
Question after. But
Oh, whoever's speaking, keep cutting in and out.
done. If there's any question in the group,
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much. It was great being here. I hope you were able to pick up some good points, and maybe see you again.
thank you so much, Jeff. We appreciate you. Hope to see
Okay.
you soon. Good night. Thank you.